Welcome back to Black Belt Lifestyle. Royce, I think a lot of people are interested to know about, after you came to America, tell us about the Gracie Challenges, the ones that you remember being involved in. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
The Gracie Challenge wasn't exactly a challenge, people nicknamed that, but it was more of students had friends, family members that practice other style. So after they take a class, they'll go back and tell their family members, their friends, and their friends like, man, I want to try that out. How they do against karate or kung fu or taekwondo. So we're like, okay, bring him in. And they'll show up and we're gonna, it wasn't a fight, but we'll try to convince them to become students. So you do your thing, your karate, I'm gonna do jiu-jitsu. It was a fight, but one way. He's trying to knock us out, the students, sometimes me, sometimes the students, sometimes my brothers, my cousins, they were trying to fight us. But we were trying to just kind of wrap them around, take them down, and nicely convince, hey, if you don't know jiu-jitsu, you're gonna be in trouble. And most likely they'll become students.
How many students were there? This was in the garage days?
We started back in the garage days. So in the garage, it was private classes. So they'll bring their family members, sometimes instructor from a different style that they do on the side. And the instructor will come in very respectful, not like a bad blood. I want to see it. I don't believe it. How can you get in a clinch and take me down? And the boxer will stand there. It's like, I'm a boxer. I did amateur boxing for a long time. And what do you mean you're going to take me down? We just get in a clinch, take them down without hitting them. We just convince them, hey, I can choke you out. Sometimes get a choke, get an arm bar, but very nice, and convince them to become students. And most of the time they became students.
Tell us about 1993. I think that's what everybody really wants to know. They want to hear your perception of 1993. For those that you don't know, the day that changed martial arts forever was November 12th, 1993, in Denver. It was in Denver, Colorado. Yep. Tell us about what happened leading up to that, and tell us about that day.
My family's been teaching jiu-jitsu in Brazil for a long, long time. But what happens in Brazil, nobody knows in the world. So, principally back then, with no internet. Of course, the challenges, like we talk about, happened in Brazil. My father would challenge everybody because people claim that their style is the best. We claim that our style is the best. There's only one way to find out. So we've been doing this in Brazil for a long time. Coming to America, Rorion started the same thing. It's every Rorion heard a karate guy say they're the best. The kickboxer said that they're the best fighters. It was more of a curiosity that my family had. Take all the rules, take the time limit, take the weight division, put them to fight, and see what happens. See which style is the best. So Rorion brought the concept from Brazil to America and create the UFC after many Gracie Challenges, let's say, back in the garage days, back when we set up the first Gracie Academy. So Rorion decided to put that on live TV. So he created the first UFC. First UFC was a 8-man tournament. And so you had to fight 3 fights in one night with no time limit, no weight division, no rules, no gloves. It was November 93. And got the champion from boxing, kickboxing, karate, got the champions from different styles, and pick out of a hat, set up the tournament. One night, had to fight 3 fights. So you fight, you win, go back to the locker room, the winner move on, the loser goes home, and come back again a few minutes later, fight again. So the real blood sport, let's say.
And what was your weight at that time? When in UFC 1, 1993, what was your weight when you stepped into the octagon?
About the same weight as today.
And what's that?
178, 180.
178. And the first UFC, what did the heaviest person in the first UFC weigh?
Oh, there was a sumo wrestler over there, and he was about 400 pounds.
400 pounds.
A sumo wrestler from Hawaii.
So at 178, you fought somebody.
No, I didn't fight him.
You didn't fight him.
But he was part of the tournament.
He was part of
yes.
the tournament.
Yes. But the biggest guy I fought, I think, was 220, 230. It was Ken Shamrock.
So, but going into the UFC, you didn't know who you were going to fight that night. So
it was an 8-man tournament. One day before, we pull out the hat to see who's going to fight who. Set up the bracket like this. So they fight, the losers go home, the winners will come back and fight again. And then the losers go home and the winner fights again.
Did in any of the fights, so you had 3 fights, did you sustain any injuries in your first fight?
No.
That nobody knew about?
No. On the first UFC, no.
No, and so you emerged as
No, he didn't even take a hit. So I fought a boxer on the first fight, didn't even touch me, just took him down, shot in, took him down, mounted on him. I didn't even touch him. He just quit because he didn't know what to do on the ground. And then the second, he just quit, and people were like, why did he quit? There was no chokes, no arm bars, nothing. I just took him down, got on top of him, he just tapped. Then the second fight was against Ken Shamrock. He won his first fight, so we came back and fought the second round. And he was like 220 pounds, built like Zeus, the god, Greek god. Like, came out and I beat him in less than a minute. Shot in, took him down, got him in a choke. He quit. Wow. I let go. He tried to continue. I told nicely on his ear, you want to continue? Continue. Or you can we know you tap. Everybody saw you tap, but you want to keep going, keep going. I look at the ref and said, let it go, ref. That's when he realized, no, you won. But then I came back on the finals with Gerard Gordeau, who's a kickboxing from Dutch kickboxer from Holland that knocked 2 of his opponents out in the first. He's the one that fought the sumo wrestler.
Wow.
Kick him on the face, knock a couple teeth out, punch him, knock him out fast, and then knock out the second fight fast. So we came back and fought in the third round on the final third fight of the night. Beat him in like a minute or so. Again, got in, shot in, took him down, got on top of him. Couple open hands, slap on his face just to make him turn around, choke him out.
Wow. I mean, I think you shocked the world. You clearly shocked the world that night.
But I tell people, they never saw me fighting. They didn't see me. It wasn't this beautiful face that they saw. They saw the technique. That's what impressed everybody.
So that brings up a very interesting question that I think you've been asked 100 times. But tell us about the decision that your brother. How did your brother make the decision? Was it your brother, your father?
My father and the Horton, yes.
Yeah. And how did they make the decision to pick you?
Because there was many members in the family. Everybody's a fighter. There was many of them that were better fighter than me. There was many of them that were, that had more experience than me. But it was going to be on national TV in America. So they had to pick a good-looking brother, not an ugly one. Sorry. Imagine you put an ugly one with the ears, a cousin with the ears and nose, and dragging their knuckles on the ground. Like,
well, I don't know, man. You know,
it was all looks, man. They're all better than me, but my brother and my father picked by looks.
I've met many of your brothers, and I'll tell you what. One thing about the men, I haven't met a lot of the women, but the men, they're all pretty good looking. You know, I think there's a competition. I mean, Henzo's pretty good looking. Charles is pretty good looking. Horion looks like he can be an actor. Oh, he did act. He did act. Actor, yeah. And Hickson looks like he's ready to play Hercules in the movies. I mean, they're all good looking guys. So it wasn't
by skill. It wasn't by skill because they're all better than me.
Yeah, it's interesting. Now, after the first UFC, was there a change in the tone? Now all of a sudden everybody was aware of who you were, who the Gracies were, what you could do. What do you remember the second UFC? When was that?
Second UFC was about 4 months later, March. March 11.
So March 11th
First
of
one was November
93.
93. So March, 4 months later.
Where did that take place?
That was in Denver again.
In Denver?
Denver, Colorado.
Why in Denver?
Because that was the only place that allowed them to do there was no boxing commission. So that's the only place that it would be an Indian reservation or in Denver, because there was no boxing commission controlling the rules. So they couldn't do in a state where the boxing commission controlled the rules, because there was no gloves, no time limit, no weight division. We went against everybody's the boxing commission.
Was the tone different? Was the atmosphere different for that second fight? Was your preparation different?
The preparation was the same. I tell them, winning team, you don't change. But the second one, the second UFC, it was 4 fights in one night. There was a 16-man tournament increase. And my brother had 8 actual fighters, so they decided to do a 16-man tournament. And I told him on the end, I was like, man, that's a lot of 4 fights is a lot of fights in one night. I was tired. I have a lot of endurance, but 4 fights was like,
wow.
On the end, I was like, man, after beating 4 opponents, I was like, it was a little too much.
Who were those 4 opponents?
The first fight was against Japanese gentleman Minoki Shihara, who was a karate champion, and then there was a Jason DeLucia, was a kung fu opponent, kung fu practitioner, and then Remco Pardoux, who was the heavyweight judo champion from European judo champion, heavyweight in 265 pounds, I think. And then the finals was against Pat Smith, who was a kickboxer from Colorado.
Wow. So they had the native boy from Colorado fighting. Was the atmosphere different for that fight because he was a hometown guy?
It was people knew what I can do, so people were trying to train for it. So of course I prefer to fight against the local guys. I prefer to be the underdog, so there's less pressure. So I don't mind.
And you were the same weight for that. What did the heaviest of your opponents that night weigh?
Oh, probably Remco Pardoux is about 265, if I recall.
265.
About 260, 265, European judo champion. So, yeah, it's like and I, again, didn't even take a hit in the second UFC. 4 fights in one night. People were not expecting. But again, it wasn't me. It was the technique that was good.
Wow. Unbelievable. I mean, you clearly shocked the world, and I remember it. That was really one of the reasons that I got interested, and I always was interested in martial arts my whole life, but I just wasn't the guy that wanted to go out and do katas, and that just wasn't me. And so when I saw this hands-on skill technique, it was a mutual friend of ours, Dr. Gaetano Scuderi. He's a spine surgeon, close friend of mine, one of my best friends. He had just finished his training in San Diego, and I originally ran the adult spine at the University of California, Davis, so my original practice was in Sacramento. I went into private practice, and Gaetano came to visit my practice to see if that's something he wanted to do. We became close friends just from the start, and he showed me some of these techniques, and that's when I fell in love with jiu-jitsu. And it was right at that time you had just fought in the UFC, and that's where my interest
but again,
went back to.
People learn martial art in general because something happened to them at one time in their lives. Maybe they saw on a TV and they put themselves in that position. What if that was me? A lot of people come up to me and it's like, yeah, I learned. I'm starting to train martial art because I saw you fighting. No, it wasn't because you saw me fighting. Like I said, you did not see me. You saw the technique. So something happened at one point, and that's what makes people learn martial art in general.
It's amazing. Anytime I've spoken with any of your brothers or your cousins. You guys are all so modest, so also intelligent as to how you break things down, and so much wanting to teach people. I've had other situations in other martial arts where people didn't want to tell me the full story, but you guys have always been so great about teaching all of what you, and taking pride and joy in watching your students learn. Tell me, what happened? Everybody talks about UFC 1, 2, and 4. What happened with UFC 3?
UFC 3, UFC 3, my first fight the night, it was against a guy named Kimo Leopoldo. He was about 250 pounds, but I did not use technique. It was just pure heart on that one. I heard he was strong, and I tried to match strength with him. So we both went out in the cage right off the bat, and it was about maybe 4-minute match. I finally beat him, got him in the armbar from the bar. But I was exhausted. Went back to the locker room. They took me down the kimono, the gi, and just threw me in a cold water shower. And it was about maybe 15 minutes. By the time they all walk out of the cage, then I was back in the cage, because the next fight, there was no time limit. So the next fight happened fast. The guy got knocked out fast, got beat up fast. So that fight is over. We're coming back on again. I'm back on. So there's no commercial, there's no break, no. So it was the time for me to leave the cage, go back to the locker room. They stripped me down, put in a cold shower to wake up, dress me back on, and we gotta go. And right before I walk out on live TV, we're waiting. It was about maybe 15 minutes between the first fight and the second fight. So I came out and I told my brothers, hold on guys, hold on. I gotta lay down for a second. I lay down and I got up. I don't remember is having this conversation. They told me later that when I lay down, my brother came up and goes, hey, do you need anything? I said, yes, can you give me some watermelon juice? And they're like, dude, we don't have watermelon juice right now. We'll give you as many as you want later tonight, but not now. Get up. I don't remember having this conversation. I was pretty much passed out. So I laid down. I remember laying down and I remember getting up. Later on, they made fun of me. Like, I was like, I did not recollect that conversation. That was my body already asking for water and sugar. It was dehydration. Because when I walk in, like, let's go. So I walk in, I got on the cage. As soon as I got on the cage, the room went shut down in front of me. Everything got dark. I remember John McCarthy, the referee, came up to me and go, are you okay? Are you ready? And I'm looking forward. I can hear him. And I go, yes, I'm ready. I feel him walk away. I turn around. I told my brothers, I can't see a thing. Point me in the right direction. Tell me what to do. And McCarthy came back and was like, hey, are you okay? Is everything okay? Because he knows I turned my back. He's like, and I turned back. I was like, yep, I'm good to go. And he walk away again. I turn around again and go, guys, do something. Point me in the right direction because I cannot see a thing. It was just dehydration. So that's when my brother threw the towel. My father threw the towel. And that's what he said. Let's not confuse being tough with stupidity. You already proved that you're tough being here. Continue if you can see a thing. It's like stupidity.
So you didn't get poked in the eye.
No.
You just.
It was just dehydration, exhaustion from the first fight and not enough time between one fight and the other. It was just pretty much, like I said, by the time I walk out the cage, back to the locker room, they throw me in a cold shower and put me back out. It was about 15 minutes.
Wow.
So it was just dehydration.
Now, UFC 4. What was the date of UFC 4? Was that in 94
That was
as well?
in 94, about 3-4 months later.
So they were just one right after another, one right after another.
3-4 months, there was a new tournament. So I fought then Severn on the finals. So the first fight was against the guy with the Hawaiian kid that I fought, Harold, from Hawaii. I fought him, I took him down, mount, karate guy, and just got him in the choke. So then the second one was against Keith Hackney. And he was a Kempo, I think, styles. And then the finals against Dan Severn, All-American wrestler, 265 pounds, I think he was part of the Olympic team, wrestling team. So he beat everybody like nothing before me until he ran into me. We fought for like 16 minutes. And I finally got him in a choke him out.
Now, after UFC 4, was there any talk of you fighting again, or that was what happened at UFC 5?
UFC 5, they decided to do a super match, Ken Shamrock and I, just a single match. They had the tournament, but they had super fight. They started to introduce super fights.
Wow.
So it was just a single fight for me for the champion and the challenger, but they had the tournament too on the side.
Tell us, a lot of people ask all the time, and I remember talking to your father about the blue belt that he had adopted. I think he was probably 89, 90. It was probably the last time that he had come to the United States. And he said, I enjoy watching what people are doing now, but a lot of it has digressed from, and he always would answer every question for me, my limited experience with him. My brother Carlos and I, you could see that, Carlos was just like my father, had a brother who was 10 years older than him. It was like having a second father. And he would always say, a lot of what I see is not what my brother Carlos and I taught. It's nice. I enjoy watching it, but it's not the self-defense. It's not the full aspect. He'd always say, in our style, we had striking, we had throws, we had wrist locks. I think one time he said there's at least 22 strikes in authentic Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and he always separated out Gracie Jiu-Jitsu from what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu had come. And he was saying that this is how he adopted wearing the blue belt, because he said, I forgot exactly, but tell me in your words.
It was, what I heard from him was, there was white belt when they learned as a kid, white, light blue for the students, and Royal Navy blue for the instructors. In about 1968, 1970, they create the Federation of Jiu-Jitsu in Brazil, and they start with tournaments, and they create a whole belt system, new belt system. And then with time, my father realized that the guys are getting promoted because they win a tournament, because they win a fight, not because they know the system. For example, Mike Tyson walked into a karate school, knock out all the karate instructors. Did that make him a black belt in karate? No, because he doesn't know the system. He's a good fighter, he's a tough guy, but he doesn't know the system. So with time, my father let the young generation take over jiu-jitsu, and they start to get people getting promoted because of tournaments. So my father went back to wear his original color, the Royal Navy blue. And so after he passed, I always got promoted by him. So after he passed, I put a belt like his with his signature on it, and don't care about promotion. Moving up in the belt ranking, and it's just ego.
Awesome story. And once again, I'm just so fortunate to have been able to have that small microscopic experience with your dad, and then, having met many members of your family, they've just contributed a lot to my own lifestyle, my longevity, my health. I think this is really the biggest contribution to me of jiu-jitsu, is that it improves one's life, one's attitude toward life, one's longevity, one's health, one's ability to function. Confidence. I feel like I can keep going forever. I mean, I don't think that there's a limit to what I can do. And I thank your family. I thank you. I thank your brothers, your cousins for everything they've given to me and everything that they've given to society.